to LSU. Our next guest cannot speak specifically about players, but he can speak about the momentum that LSU football has right now, as they picked up 3 high-quality commits last week, 2 pass rushers and a game-breaking wide receiver. As T-Bob said last segment, 13 of the 15 commitments for LSU right now have come outside of the state, with the state of Louisiana being very healthy as far as football talent goes, so still work to do within the state. Colin Deangelo, who is the third-year assistant player personnel director over at LSU, is really a guy that's behind the scenes as far as the recruiting process goes. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this thing tick every day. Orgeron is the face and the voice of it, but there is a process and people put in place behind the scenes that deserve a lot of credit for the success that LSU football is experiencing on the recruiting trail. And one of those names and figures is Collin D'Angelo, and he stops by here with us on Off the Bench on this Monday morning. Colin, thank you for the time. Good morning, man.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
We always love to see the tweets from Orgeron that say, "Hold that tiger." Then from the rest of the recruiting department, I love to see the business is booming tweets. And right now, business is on fire for you guys. Can you talk about the momentum that the LSU football recruiting department has right now?
Yeah, this is it's been great. The momentum is it's actually just getting picked back up, but it's actually a weird time for everyone because we missed right when the corona hit. We missed our last junior day. We were gonna emphasize the Louisiana guys and get everybody in, and we had to cancel like 2 days before and tell everybody to stop traveling and everything else. But we missed the spring eval period, which is huge, getting our coaches out there, and then spring and summer official visits, which was another period, which I don't know if you remember, but last year's class, that's where we got probably a quarter of our class was in that time of official visits. So now it's like June, summer camps. We missed that time as well. But we're building momentum in different ways and being innovative with it. So you have to do your Zoom calls, your virtual tours. Our coaches have unlimited calls, nonstop texting, just finding attack points without actually getting your hands on these kids and having them on campus. But it's been fun. It's interesting and it's different for everybody.
We had a big 5-star on with us last week, and he was talking about the relationship that he had with the football program, and he said that they'll just be sitting around and his stepdad's phone will ring, or his girlfriend's phone will ring, or his uncle's phone will ring, or his mom's phone will ring, and it'll be Coach O on the other end of it. And he is a dominant recruiter. Can you talk about the process of just the recruiting that goes on with LSU football? I know a lot of that he does autonomously on his own, but there is a lot of people working behind the scenes that are handing out itineraries on how the recruiting day is going to work.
Yeah, Coach O's the mastermind behind it all. So he's the head guy in recruiting. He wakes up, first thing he's talking about is recruiting. Last thing before we leave is recruiting. So we're always touching all of our bases in that point, and he starts it all with contact plans. So you have to make call sheets for Coach O and for the staff, who they're talking to each day, each week, what we're going to be talking about, who's the champion in this kid's decision process, who's the parents in the situation. Does he have a stepdad? Does he have a brother? Does his girlfriend going to LSU? Where does she plan on going? So there's a lot of things we have to get answered. It's an information gathering business, so you have to kind of always be on top of everything going on because you can't assume that, every kid is going to have a 2-parent home or every kid is an only child. So you have to find out a lot of different things. But that's kind of the initial process is the contact sheets and call sheets, and that's what I've been spending most of my time during the day in the office. Is if you're not watching film, you're on the phone. So that's the main focus right now.
Talking to Colin D'Angelo, LSU Assistant Director of Player Personnel. Colin, fill the listeners in. What is your story? Because here you are, you're incredibly young. You've got a very nice title there. You are in the belly of the beast at a team that just went undefeated and won the national championship. What's your story? How did you get here? Like, what have these last couple of years been like?
Yeah, it's been amazing. So, I'm only 24. I've been enjoying the ride. I'm just like a sponge. I've just been sitting here learning under the guys and Coach O and all the staff he's put around everybody. The support staff grows by the day. So I have so many great people to learn from. But my story really, I'm from Madisonville, so I played against Coach O's twin sons, Cody and Parker, in high school. I went to St. Paul's in Covington. And then I got lucky enough I started off college at Southern Miss, was trying to play ball, and then transferred in to LSU just as a student on academic scholarship. And then lucky enough to get a break to get in the building and just be a student worker in player personnel, actually. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I dove into it. When I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was just staying in the office as late as I could. And finally, Coach O, I was graduating. I had no idea how this works. I'm like, it's kind of funny looking back on it. But I was like, hey, Coach, I don't know. Do I need to get my best suit on and go on some interviews? Do I need to go to some other schools? And he was like, no, I want you to stay right here. He's like, I got a job for you. So
wow.
He got my start in football as the offensive player personnel analyst. So I was dealing with strictly quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. And I actually still – that's my focal point is quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. But then he's recently promoted me to assistant director. So I'm super thankful for Coach O, man. It's awesome. I'm digging in every day. I'm learning new stuff by the day. So I don't know a lot. I'm just a sponge, man. I'm just catching on as it goes.
So one thing then that I want to ask you about, and it falls right in your area of expertise, is I want to ask you about wide receiver. Because if I think back to like just a few years ago, and even like whatever, like Mike Thomas Saints get this big deal, and there's all these questions on wide receivers and the effect that they have on wins and what's the importance there. And I feel like a lot of people weren't exactly sure. But when I look at college football and I look at what Alabama's done with their receiving core, now what LSU has done, success that it brought them last year, is there in this new kind of offensive age of college football, is there an added emphasis on being elite at that position?
Yes. I mean, you're trying to stack that position year by year. It used to be a position where you'd probably sign 2 to 3 guys every year. You're probably going to go 4 to 5 now, every class. And you can see that kind of happening right now. And it's funny because that's now the easiest position to recruit here. So, I mean, when they're doing things like that on offense, it's really easy. And they've set the standard, man. So every guy wants to come in and compete. We're looking for the best in the country, and Coach O was just like, look, let's go get first rounders. So the evaluation process is fun, separating the best from the best, and we've done a good job so far in getting some guys that are going to be able to come in and make an impact.
Can you talk about the evaluating process? When does it start on some of these guys? I mean, I know each case is different, but all in all, when does the ball begin rolling for a specific class, like the class of 2021 that you're focusing on now? When did the recruitment start for this group?
Yeah, I mean, every kid is different, like you said. The discovery part is actually my favorite part. So, I mean, we get reached out to a bunch from different people and coaches and sources, which is one way. We can go out of our way to do our own discovery and find, we have various softwares and lists that we go through. But the identification part, it all depends. We could actually stumble upon them in a camp on our campus, or we could be watching combine film when they go to all these Nike and Rivals combines and whatnot. But that initial part it's to be determined for each kid, but then the eval process for each kid is the same. So once we get them in the system, we've sparked interest in the kid, depending on the position. So we bring in their highlight tape, like you guys were watching earlier, just watching kids, all their good tape, no bad. And then we bring in full game clips, and we do our own evaluation. So we do a 4 to 5 game evals, and sometimes you'll do a full season eval if you need to. But it's all kind of on a situational basis, but you watch full game, good, bad, and indifferent, and that's what you present to Coach O. That's what he wants to watch. So there's the information we have a PowerPoint to begin the eval. It'll tell you, who he has offers from. Do we have verified measurables on him, which is high school, city and state, first and last name, who's he playing against, so level of competition. And then you get to kind of see where his recruitment is at the point. But, Coach O kind of gets a full synopsis in like a 5 to 10 minute sit down on each kid. And that's the evaluation process. And then you go to, if Coach O's ready to offer, him or the position coach will offer the kid. And then you have to recruit these guys till National Signing Day and beyond. So it's never ending. So you don't just, get these guys to sign the papers and then kick them to the curb. They get on campus. You promised them that they were going to be in good hands, and they get here, you got to move them in. You got to do everything that you told their parents you would do. So, but it's fun, man. It's never-ending process.
How does the message and energy change after a commitment?
That's when it gets fun, because those guys start recruiting for you. So we've seen that a lot lately. When these guys are jumping in the boat, they immediately are like, who do y'all want? Who do we need to go get? So they're your best recruiters. The commits and the current players on the team, those are your best recruiters. So you have to use that to your advantage.
Colin Deangelo joining us here, LSU Assistant Director of Player Personnel. He's on Twitter at @CDeangelo_LSU. We have had a lot of coaches on here from from your department or from LSU football over the last couple of weeks. Mickey Joseph, Scott Linehan, Steve Ensminger, Ed Ogeron. Every single time somebody brings up Arik Gilbert. Every time.
Yeah.
Can you take me into his recruiting? He was the number one tight end in the country, and as far as evaluating that position, he's the highest graded tight end of all time. What was his recruiting like?
Yeah, rightfully so on the ranking. He's the best tight end I've seen since I've been doing this. He's incredible. So there wasn't anything he couldn't do on tape. So that wasn't a hard evaluation. We knew we wanted him, so we offered early. Coach O was all over him. Coach O had built a good relationship with his mom. Also, Coach DeCoster, who's now at Old Dominion, did a great job with Arik Gilbert. So, but he's exciting. Like, it's only beginning for him. We just got him on campus. You know, he was recovering from his injury, so he's all good now. He's good to go. We're excited for him. But his recruitment was shocking. You know, we knew we were in it. We didn't know if we were in the lead or what. We'd had him on campus probably 4 times, which was great. He was a real quiet kid. His mom did a lot of the talking for him, and then his mom didn't even know where he was committing when he went up on stage to pick a hat, and then he just picked the hat and said he was coming to LSU. He felt it, and he felt it when he went to sleep the night before. It was a family atmosphere. So I remember, actually, it was myself and David Bowen, who's in the player personnel department with me. We were watching the commitment. It was right during warm-ups for practice, and he said he was going to LSU. We sprinted down, and Coach was in the middle of warming up the team. We told him, and he knew immediately when we sprinted down there what we were about to tell him. He was like, no way. So he blew the whistle and started celebrating in front of the team that we got Arik Gilbert. It was awesome. It was a cool moment. So
that's great, man.
Full staff effort. We were excited about that one.
That's cool, man. That's a part of it, man. That the celebration of hard work paying off. All right, so last one, we'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time, Colin Deangelo, joining us. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Alexandria, LSU Assistant Director of Player Personnel and the Recruiting Department at LSU football right now is on fire. You got 15 commitments in the class. You got some pass rushers. You got some game breakers at wide receiver. You got a quarterback. What's the area of emphasis as you guys close up on the numbers here?
Point of emphasis would probably be offensive line. That's going to be one that we're going to want to build. Probably get 4 to 5 more guys in that at that position. You know, receivers good, quarterback, running backs good. Defense is loaded up right now. As you can see, the edge guys, like y'all said, pass rush presence is there. Offensive line and just building up the trenches is definitely going to be an emphasis.
Colin, thank you for your time, man. Continued success for you personally and for the program. We'll be checking in again soon.
I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There he is, Colin D'Angelo, checking in from LSU football this morning. As we say, that recruiting department is on fire. 13 of the 15 commitments from out of the state. They pick up 3 last week, 2 pass rushers and a wide receiver in Chris Hilton from Zachary High School up in David Brewerton's program. That was a guy that was high on the list that LSU gets into the boat early in the process with 15 commitments and 25 to hand out. You still see that LSU's got work to do. That was good insight from Colin D'Angelo checking in from LSU football this morning.
Well, and I was going to say, what jumps out to me from that Colin interview is it shows you how complicated and dense and just how many moving parts there are in a machine like LSU, right? This is a 24-year-old cat that already sounds that impressive, and he's describing like kind of the first steps of recruiting and how they get this film and how they break down games and it gets passed up the ladder. And it just jumps out to me, like I said, how kind of interconnected and complicated it all is, and then how important it is to find the right people. That's what great leaders do, and great businesses, whatever programs, is at every single level of the program, they have quality people, and Colin sounds like he would fall into that category.